Get this meeting going. Please put your phones in silent and get going. We'll have the invocation by Mr. Brown. You want to do the invocation? Yeah. We'll have the pledge of allegiance for Father and for you. Please stand. Time is about 15:30. 17:30.
Father, we are so grateful to be here and to be before a great and awesome God that you are. We just ask for your guidance tonight and the directions and the decisions that we make, Father, that they're best for the city, that you will be in your will. Again, watch over us and continue to bless this city like you've been doing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get going, some items, we have some people coming to express their thoughts and opinions. Remember to state your name and hold it to 3 minutes. So you'll have any public comments?
Mayor, Council, Holly Jaraki, Community Services Director. I'd like to remind the community that we're having our biannual community cleanup this Saturday, October 19th. We will have Rolos stationed at Stafford and Moore, as well as Cactus and Stafford. And you're welcome to join us for breakfast here. We will provide all the tools, and we will be providing lunch upon completion around noon here at City Hall. We welcome everyone.
Anyone else?
I've been here about 3 or 4 times about the speeding on Cedar Street, and nothing has been done about it. The PD doesn't patrol it. They speed from the stoplight on 7th Street, try to make the green light on 12th Street, and some others don't even stop on the light. The 20 speed limit for the school zone, they fly through it. And if there's a police officer on Cedar Street, he don't stop nobody. I mean, it seems like the oil field got free passage through town. We got 18-wheelers going through the neighborhood in the middle of the night. I thought the 18-wheelers shouldn't be driving on their neighborhood, but they are. Call the PD. They want to know the description of the vehicle that's flying through there and then going down to Martinez Street. You can hear them going all the way over there. And they want the description. I don't have any description. Somebody so they can catch them. Nobody shows up. Why they changed the speed limit to 45 farther down? It was 35, 40, then 45. Now it's 45 on this side. What's going to happen? Somebody's going to get killed one of the days there. Before the oil field came, Cedar Street was patrolled by 2 officers, back and forth. Now, nobody's like the oil field has told them, you know what, stay away from here. We got a right of way, and they're taking advantage of it. The PD every once in a while will stop a local, but I have yet to see them stop an 18-wheeler or another field vehicle. They'll stop a local, but like I said, the oil field got free passage. Why? I don't know. If they came to the council and told them, hey, we're going to drill here, leave us alone. Because that's what they've been doing. Nobody stopped them. Not the city, not the sheriff's office, and not DPS. And this is not the first time that I brought it to the city council, and nothing has been done about it.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Samuel Urias. And if I had to get on the agenda, just tell me how to do it, and we'll discuss it in the agenda. Because nothing's done. And one of these days, somebody's going to get killed. Why don't they patrol it? I don't know why. And if you see a PD officer park at the rotary ground, he just parked there because they're flying through there, and they don't stop anybody. The light on 12th Street, if you're going west, it's on for 15 seconds. But if you're going north or south, it stays on for more than a minute and a half. But if you cross the Cedar Street, because I time it, it's 15 seconds that says on the green light. But if you're going north and south, they can easily make it from 3rd Street all the way down there. They were supposed to put the lights where they would not be green all the way, but they would have to stop. You all put a stop to the railroad for parking, from stopping on the railroad tracks, because it would make a 18-wheelers will park from here all the way down. How come they can stop from speeding through here? The railroad doesn't park there and change engineers anymore. You all put a stop to it. But yet the speeding on 285, you have done nothing about it.
Any other comments?
I'll vouch for him. I've got my offices on Cedar Street, and man, they do come barreling down Cedar Street, so 18-wheelers.
Hello, everybody.
And I used to just walk over to the bank, across the street. I gotta run now. They're coming fast.
Any other comments?
Hello, my name is Luke Holtz. I am with Waterworks Field Services, and I'm going to ask the council to please reconsider increasing the prices for commercial bulk water sales. You're increasing it for over 1 million gallons from 1850 to 2050, which is about a 10% increase, which means I would have to increase my prices by 10%. My understanding is that the reason as to why it's happening is because you want to both increase revenue for the city as well as decrease the water usage to keep up with water demand. I find that kind of interesting, seeing as the fact that you've just recently given another tap, another commercial tap to a company from Midland. And so to increase the water rates for myself, a local company here that's been around since 1970, and then to increase my prices and to give a tap to another company seems just kind of strange to me. I'm already trying to compete with them in this area. I'm trying to keep my prices as low as possible, but a 10% increase to myself would make it very hard, and they'd probably push me out very easily. I find it difficult to compete, and I'm trying to keep them out. But since COVID, we were shut down by TCEQ and have to had several price hikes because of that. Back in May of 2023, you've already increased my prices 10%, and so now to have it a year and a half later, have another 10%, that makes it very difficult on me. Since I was shut down by TCEQ, this same company you've given the tap to has been able to push into this area and has a hefty control of this area, and they're my main competitors, and they're not from this area. They're from Midland. I'm not saying that they should, I'm not trying to, keep them out. I understand competition. I'm not trying to be against that. I'm saying it seems difficult for me to understand why you would increase my prices and then give a tap to this company at the same time. You want to decrease water usage, but you increase water usage by giving another company a tap. So I ask that you please reconsider increasing the prices for bulk water sales. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Manuelita Urias. I was just going to go back off of what my dad had said. They're on 11th and Cedar, the TPI, on the left side. Sometimes they have vehicles parked right there, and it blocks the view of oncoming traffic, so we cannot see like when people are coming, and it can cause a really big wreck, especially with them speeding through there.
Any other comments? All right. We'll go on to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of September the 26th, 2024 regular city council meeting. Review the expenditure report and airport activity report made to August 2024. Council will take time to review, and motions when ready.
Hey, Charles, on the airport deal, it looks like they're increasing traffic and increasing that.
We are, and it varies, Randy, from a month-to-month standpoint, but we are seeing an increase, and with the renovations that are ongoing at the airport, we hope to see that number start going even further up, where maybe we can get enough volume and enough traffic to where we can start attracting others that will start utilizing our airport.
So the payment to the company for the airport
How many more payments like that do we have?
Those questions.
The partial payment that we just made to the contractor at the airport, how many more payments do we have?
We will be finalizing in 45 to 55 days. So it could be, it really, the payments come out based on the completion of work. But we are nearing the end of the contract.
I would anticipate 1 or 2 more,
Yeah.
because they're normally submitted monthly.
Also noticed we were pretty heavy on repair costs this month with vehicles and equipment. One of them was fairly high. I don't know if it was worth the price, worth the price of the vehicle. One of them was to the code unit, over 18,000.
And that was due to the one that was in an accident. And a portion, it was in an accident, is what it was. It was a
So will
newer
we get
truck.
reimbursed by insurance? on it?
We've submitted to insurance, we have not received it yet. So we should get something back on that, yes, ma'am. And that's where the disconnect will come, is we'll have to pay the bill.
And then get reimbursed for it. I guess we're doing a lot of water sewer repairs because there was a lot of pipe and valves and everything.
We are,
this
and
month
part
as
of,
well.
part of that is also, Kelvin and I have been working on trying to get a level of inventory to where we have it so that we can do repairs in a much more efficient and effective way. Because where we're located, there's a lot of times that we need a certain size valve and it is not available and it's gonna take 3 to 6 weeks to get. So now we're
So you're
starting to
trying
be
to have
proactive
some-
to add some inventory so that we
Stock.
can. Yes, ma'am.
And then on the fence, are we about through with fencing for the water?
It depends where we're talking about. For the water wells, we're almost done with it. And the reason that we had to do that is there's a lot of exposure out there with that not having the water wells protected. The fences were a lot in significant disrepair. So we're replacing fencing at every single one of our wells that we have out in the fields. And then we're also replacing the fence around the entire wastewater treatment plant. And that one is almost complete, yes, ma'am.
Is that land leased or is it, we own it, or you know where the water wells are? I know we own some of it.
It's normally going to be a leased land. We own some of it, Randy, but not all of it.
Are they running cattle out there?
I think they are, yes,
So
sir.
we need to fence it.
But not a whole lot. We have to fence it well, and even more so, we have to fence it to keep bad actors from potentially just using up our equipment, and we have potential for contamination if we're not careful. That's one of the reasons for the fence, is trying to keep people away from the wells, because it's one of the high threat opportunities from the federal government right now is resources, freshwater resources. And so we need to make sure we protect them.
And how many more payments do we have on the water, West Pecos water?
Well,
station?
I don't like it called the West Pecos water piece of it. This is strictly the engineering piece of it. We're gonna have a lot but there's a big chunk of this that as soon as we are able to close with the USDA, that we will be able to reimburse ourselves a little over $2 million. So we have those funds that are going out right now through operations.
Again, it's going to be a reimbursement.
It will be, and then we'll have the grant and loan money for the USDA to satisfy and handle the construction piece of it.
Any other questions?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Councilman Shields. Second by Councilman Graham. A motion of Councilman Shields to approve the consent agenda, second by Councilman Graham. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carries. Now we'll go on to the non-consent agenda. We'll move a couple, what is it? F5, right?
Yes.
F5 to F1, into the F1, and then we'll be doing F12, moving it up to number 2.
Good afternoon, Council. Kelvin, Original Director of Public Works. In your packet, you'll find a resolution for the landfill. Resolution awarding the bid for the town of Pecos City landfill, Trench 6 and 7 construction project to 4X Construction Group for a total amount of $729,170. are there any questions about this resolution?
Where's 6 and 7 out there?
Geographically, you mean, or?
Geographically.
So I don't know the longitude and latitude of the actual trench.
And I went out there today, this morning.
Mhm.
And it was right there next to the road, the trench, but I don't know what trench number that is.
So no, it'll be closer to the back. It'll be close to the back, yes, sir.
Do we have others to bid on this?
Yes, we have 5 different bidders. 4X Construction Group, Ranger Excavating, D.E. Rice Construction, EnviroWorks, and Hammond Excavation. 4X was the lowest bid. Also in your packet, you'll find a recommendation letter from Park here as well.
Any questions?
No.
Make a motion to approve resolution 24-10-01R as presented.
Thank you all.
A motion by Councilman Shields, and a second by Councilman Saldana to approve resolution 24-10-01R, resolution awarding the bid for the town of Pecos City landfill, track number 67, construction project, and the amount stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. We'll move on to F12, discuss, consider ordinance 24-10-01, adopting an ordinance prohibiting parking in the front yard of residential property. First reading. Mr. Rocky.
Mayor, Council, Holly Jiraki, Community Services Director. I've put together an ordinance regarding a request by council for their concern on our continuation of beautifying our residential properties and maintaining the economical and orderly development of our community. In your packet, you'll have a copy of the ordinance. And what we are attempting to promote is no front yard parking unless it is on an approved surface. We are following the same approved surfaces that are currently set in our ordinances, in our ordinance currently, which is asphalt, concrete, or milling. We do have some exceptions. Obviously, we have some older properties here that have the 2-strip concrete paths for a driveway. They are the exception. We're not going to make someone come back and fill in that little area in between the strip. We plan on creating a town hall in November. I did want to bring the ordinance first to council and have them read through it and make sure that they were satisfied with all of the language. And but the goal was to have our ordinance adopted by the end of October, bring a town hall in November, grace period to end and start enforcement January 1st of 2025.
You said millings, what's millings?
Millings is the type of, the asphalt roadway that's broken down, for instance, whenever an old road is removed.
So like used asphalt?
It's used asphalt, yes.
But they use in the alley. City's trying to put some of the alley.
Yes, we will actually use millings in our alleys along with chip seal, yes.
Kind of like on Texas Street, there's a house there, and right before you get to Stafford, and they've got rotten gravel there, and they park their cars on that. Is there an issue with that?
So it doesn't currently meet the approved surface ground cover for parking.
I don't see a problem with it, though, you know, it's not landscaping.
Mhm.
You know, it's a cheaper way than having to go cement in and put asphalt in there.
And I certainly welcome any suggestions you may have. We want to make sure that whatever product that they're using is actually going to stay within that area. But I certainly will listen to any of your suggestions.
And some of this is to keep mud from being brought out onto our streets all the time.
Yes, ma'am. Additionally, so let's say a resident wants to add parking to their front yard, and there's a curb and gutter there. So that would have to be addressed as well. And so upon enforcement, we would then identify, and then speak with and educate the public on what they would need to do. We're not going to allow them to just put the material on the yard, park on it, and jump the curb. They need to create a proper curb and lay down curb, actually, so that we have continued water flow in the correct direction. But yes, it's about preserving our streets and also preserving the beautification of our neighbors
the
and
curbs
neighborhood.
And sidewalks, 'cause there are a lot of people jumping the curbs and sidewalks right now, and it's breaking them down.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. And our ordinance, actually, policy regarding our sidewalks, they are the responsibility of the homeowners. They actually are responsible all the way up to the top of the curb of their property. And so, yes, there's many areas that we can look at to address and attempt to create. It's a slow process, but I think if we begin, we can have a little bit more aesthetically pleasing neighboring properties overall.
So I guess just to clarify, so people are more aware, I think there was confusion with the language of the agenda. I saw it on social media, and it kind of generated a lot of talk and discussion, which is good. So it's good to bring this up. Just to clarify, this is not limiting people from parking in front of their house. It's not the street, it's avoiding people or reducing the amount of vehicles that are parked in the front yard.
In the actual front yards,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Just wanted
So
to-
side yards are not included. You do not have to improve your surface on a side yard unless you're parking on a corner property. But the side yard, the back of the yard, if you're parking, pulling all the way to the back of your yard, not required. We obviously, we want to work with the community. We realize there's some expense involved, and it centers around the temporary housing that we have been experiencing off and on since 2019. But it's also to preserve our community as a whole.
It's much needed because it's unfair even around. And there's some neighborhoods that people are doing mechanical work. There's a bunch of cars in the yard, front yard. It's not fair for the next neighbor that wants to keep his property clean.
Yes.
Other areas that see junk cars.
Yep.
And again, some residents have brought it to my attention that it's inviting rats and cockroaches to their houses because people keep their yard the way they keep it. I'm not going to be explicit in my terms, but the language should describe it. The silent ones are the ones that are suffering from this. Are people taking advantage of parking on the curb and breaking our curbs and, so.
Well, there are a few houses that have concrete or whatever, their whole front yard.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, in that situation, is it a matter of them making sure they have the right ingress and egress to that area?
Yes, so the ordinance
Versus
does.
jumping the curb?
The ordinance does specify the size of a parking space, which is also in our other policy in our building code as well. We went with the 9 by 18, that's the most reasonable. We have a 10 by 22 as well in our ordinance, but we have the opportunity to go with 9 by 18, it's standard. And yes, they would have to actually meet the depth. They cannot create a traffic hazard by blocking the visual path of a vehicle pulling out somewhere, for instance. So there's a few factors involved.
And a lot of too are parking over the sidewalk.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that means the pedestrians can't walk on the sidewalk. They're having to now go and walk out in the street to go around the vehicles that are blocking the sidewalks.
Yes, ma'am. And so what I had found a few years ago regarding our blocking of our public walkways does fall under our police department's response, but we can immediately address it by not allowing them to pull into the front yard where most sidewalks actually are.
There's one particular house that I noticed that they did a real beautiful work, carport in the front, and they eliminated all the grass, and they did it properly with the rating. crooked gutter and everything else, so, you know, there's options.
Now they don't have to mow. For water.
Yes,
My
yes.
father-in-law got rid of his own, that's what he did. But,
What about vehicles standing on the curbs or, on the street?
So we
Are
still,
abandoned? I mean,
If they're
webs and all that, they haven't moved in mine for years. What are we gonna do about those?
if you see them, call me.
Huh?
Well, no, if you see them, call me. We have a certified letter we would mail out to, we would verify who the registered owner is, whoever it is, and they would have 10 days to remove it, or we will step in and have it removed on the 11th day.
okay.
Is that,
Okay, with
You know-
This one here is discussion and consideration.
yes, sir.
Okay, we're gonna have a town hall meeting in November on this,
Yes.
so do we need to vote on this then?
So it's, well,
The first reading.
it is the first reading. We have a second reading next week, but the purpose of it was to, my understanding was that you wanted to bring this policy, or put this policy in place.
we're
But again,
I understand what Councilman Brown is
Yes.
saying. We'd like to have the town hall meeting with some.
Yeah, I could get more
some
input
feedback.
to put in this.
we certainly can.
Or you could do the first reading,
Yes.
wait till you have the town hall meeting, and then make
In the second.
any adjustments to it, and then have the second reading.
We can.
Mr. Urias, you have something to say?
Yeah, there's a lot of residents on the east side, there's no curbs.
Yeah.
Is the city gonna provide a curb?
We're working on that.
I mean, when they put when they decided to pave the streets, they charged the residents so much money. And especially if you were on the corner, you paid double because you had, and a lot of residents didn't have the money to pay, so they didn't put a curb. Matter of fact, they didn't even pave their spot. You'd be driving down the street and boom, well, there's one he didn't pay.
We'll look into that.
And a lot of people, for example, all my kids, I got 3 kids that live in my house, and they all got vehicles. It doesn't affect me because I got a carport there. But my daughter, she lives on the corner, and she parks on top of, in front of her trailer. Because like I said, the city doesn't patrol. There's been speeding through there, cars have been hit through there. And if you park your vehicle, if you can't park it in front of your lawn, and you park it on the street, you run into that, that some idiot's gonna come by there and hit it.
Well, that's where we're gonna have the town hall meeting.
Yes, sir.
To
And
discuss all
then,
this.
I mean, you need to wait before you pass this ordinance until you have the town hall meeting.
Well, this would just be the first reading, it's not passing.
We'll have to put it-
It's just kind of getting the ball rolling so we can go ahead and have the town hall meeting.
But you gotta take in consideration, there's a lot of people, especially elderly, they don't have the money to concrete their front yard, or to put asphalt, or to put the recycled asphalt. You gotta take in consideration a lot of those people. Especially, this ordinance is gonna affect people on the east side. It's not gonna affect that much on the west side, but it's gonna affect a lot of people on the east side.
You know, I have to say, most of the cars that I've seen that are piled up in yards,
Yeah.
it's all in the west side. I'm serious. My job allows me to go up and down, and then on weekends, I'll ride around town to see things that people approach me at the grocery store, hey, about this, about that. I go, look, we all go there. But believe me, and I'm telling you, the problem is west of Cedar.
In our town hall, we're going to also identify some additional exceptions. There's properties that don't have alleys. There's properties that actually never had a parking space. So on-street parking is still going to be made available. Certain exceptions are going to be made if alleys are less than 16 feet. So we're attempting to be fair across the board for the good of the community. So it's not about, we're not trying to create a hardship for any one particular area of town or group of people. But we're looking at it really closely to make sure that we're touching on the areas that are really an issue right now.
You know, should state your name.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Efrain Rodriguez. I live at 11th and Pecan Street. I've been a resident of Pecos, Texas for over 20 years. I've been a deputy sheriff, active deputy peace officer with the Reese County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I love Pecos, I love living in Pecos, I love my town. But where I live at, I just have a curb in the front of the house. On the side, used to have grass back in the day. I do have a chain link fence that goes from the front of the house all the way to the rear of the house towards the alley. My hobby on my days off, I like working on cars. So I personally own like 6, 7 cars between me and my wife. I park them in front of the dirt inside my yard where it's fenced. I got a carport that I got approved from the city to be able to put in my backyard. I got about 3, 4 cars there too. That's my pastime. That's what I love to do on my days off. I can afford to put concrete or put some of that blacktop like the young lady was talking about here. Some of us can't afford that. You know, we try to make the best with what we have at our house. I live in 11th and Pecan. And I'm concerned because if you guys try to kick us out of parking our cars in the front or in the back, well, what am I going to do with my cars? There's some houses that are beautiful here in Pecos. They got beautiful landscaping, they got concrete sidewalks. I've never seen that in my house, in my front yard. I'm 57 years old, and most of my life I've been here in Pecos. The south side doesn't have that. Some of us can afford what you guys are asking for, trying to promote. That's good. Amen to God. But some of us can't afford it, man. I'm one of those people. And I want to thank y'all for hearing me out. Thank you so much.
Rita Diaz, my son has a lot on the east side. Before we put gravel on there, we're parking on the road. And then we were blocking the mailbox, so the post office put us a notice that they couldn't deliver our mail because we're blocking. So we put gravel, now we're parking in front of the resident. Is that going to be a problem? There's a curb there too.
So ideally, before I answer that, I would like to look at each individual property or concern independently,
Okay.
because each case is going to be treated somewhat independently. There's going to be some factors that are going to provide for exceptions.
Well, this restaurant is right across the street from some.
I know exactly where it's
Okay,
at,
okay.
Rita.
So you know more
Yeah,
about
I do.
that.
So, but in all fairness, I haven't looked at that property I haven't looked in that area in quite a while, so I would prefer to be neutral regarding an answer, because there's going to be multiple exceptions.
I mean, I park my cars inside my fence.
Mhm.
in my yard, you know.
I'm familiar with
Yes, sir.
your location as well.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
a general familiarity
Yes,
with the
sir.
area, yeah.
That's why we have to have some flexibility, but also some strict guidelines.
Yes.
Like I said, my concern is, I've seen 6, 7, 8 cars in front of a yard, and you look at the houses around, it's not appropriate. And I'm not saying the east side, because I was born and raised on the east side. And I know what you're talking about. I ran around barefooted on the streets, dirt streets. We didn't have any dirt, we got it back then, but eventually stuff moves different directions. But we got to not tell you what to do to your property, but it sounds directly that's the opposite of what I'm saying. We are telling you what to do. Just gotta have ordinances to curb and not let it go too far, but like Mr. Rocky's saying, to look at it on an individual basis. And I think we need to, when we have this town hall meeting, we need to have some flexibility and some understanding of limits, financially, space-wise. So,
I think one of the main issues that we're having is a lot of these properties are being rented out, leased out to oil field workers and all that, and they're not being, they don't rent a house anymore. It's like renting room per room of that house. So there's one particular one on the east side or on the west side. There's 6 or 7 pickups parked in the front yard because they can't park anywhere, but it's oil field people working. I mean, they come to work, and I don't hold it against them because they gotta park somewhere. But the owner of the house, whoever owns the house, needs to make that, because I don't even remember if it has a sidewalk anymore, because they're going over the curb to get into the, so, you know, you walk by there and you see it, and good God. And that's the problem that we have, because even on Palm Street, Plum, there's a house that has, I don't know, 6 or 7 pickups right there also. And if there was an accident there or an emergency, there is no way the ESD's ambulance or anybody could get in there because of the pickup. I don't even know how they go to work. One goes first, then the other one, because they're all parked all over the place. Like, Jesus. And it's a safety hazard to begin with if something were to happen. But, and that's what it is. A lot of those are rental properties. And most of the people that own those properties don't even live in Pecos anymore. And that's what hurts us, is they don't put money back into the house to make it look presentable for the next renter that come around. So, you know, that's something that we need to look at. And it's not going against our locals that live here. That's not the issue. It's just we've got a lot of people here. We don't have the housing, and wherever they can get, but every one of them drives their own vehicle. And man, you're loaded in.
Sometimes some of these houses where they have multiple vehicles, they're actually running a business out of a residence, because they're working on all these vehicles right there. And I mean, it's not their vehicles, they're working on other people's vehicles. And I know one that I go by frequently, there's cars already on the curb, there's cars in the driveway, and then someone else is pulled up to stop parked, and I'm trying to turn, and I can't even turn off of Main Street because there's another vehicle blocking my lane. And so those, I think, are the situations that we would certainly be looking at first before we get into personal vehicles and ones that are actually running, and where there's not the cobwebs and the weeds growing up all around them, things like that.
Right. And some of the options that we just a little touch on, the town hall piece, is bringing in some options, screening the property. There is inexpensive material, but, you know, $50 to one person might as well be $1,000 to somebody else. I can appreciate that, you know, but those are the kind of options that we're going to be looking at, because we do appreciate that everybody has you know, one form or another. We have a lot of retired people, a lot of elderly people, you know, so we do want to try to educate and find some solutions, but that is one of the things that we are looking at. But that will come when we discuss the town hall. So these are some of the guidelines, and these are things that we haven't specified here, but definitely can, and that's why it's being brought for that purpose. So we clearly need to address what Councilman Saltana talked about. That's the priority. It really is. And maybe find some other solutions as well.
Any other questions?
I would like to ask if we not vote on this tonight, because when we get in the town hall meeting, we're going to make a lot of changes, I would think. And so in the second reading, if there's some errors and stuff, we can't pass that. I'd like to have the first reading after the town hall meeting. If y'all...
You would like to table it?
Well, this is-
Can we go ahead and schedule a town hall meeting without doing the first reading?
Yeah, the town hall can be scheduled whenever. Gonna make a motion to postpone it, see if you get a majority in agreement with it.
Okay, so you're making a motion, Councilman Grant, to table that? Yes, sir. So we have a motion by Councilman Grant to table F12,
I'll second.
and we have a second by Councilman Trujillo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion will be tabled until after the town hall meeting.
Thank you.
All right. All right. F1, discuss, consider, enter into the Air Medical Care Agreement to participate in carrying the annual membership fee. Chief Lee?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Ronald Lee, Joint Emergency Services Chief with Reeves County ESD. We're coming to you tonight. Reeves County ESD 2 recently approved to renew the membership with our Air Med Care network. In doing so, if you recall, this was a program set up so that we could provide air medical membership to all the county residents as well as any transient workers within the county at no charge to them. And in the event of an emergency transport by helicopter, the only thing that they wouldn't have to pay out of pocket, it would be, anything above and beyond what their insurance wouldn't pay, they don't have to pay. So ESD2 board has directed me to approach the city and the county and the hospital district to see if there's any interest in partnering and participating and sharing the cost for this program. In the last year, the hospital district did participate and they contributed half of that cost. The total cost this year is $89,000. It's the same as last year. If the hospital and the county and the city all agree to it, the cost share would be $22,250. If there's only 3 entities, it would be $29,666. And if there was only 2 entities, it'd be back to $44,500 like last year. There's always the option, if that's not something you choose to do, but you would still choose to participate, you could always choose your own amount that you would like to contribute. I'm sure it would be accepted. Do you have any questions? I presented the packet. That's the agreement that we had. It kind of gives a rundown of what the program does for us.
How many of our employees, do you know, have this membership?
Well, this is for everybody. We have MASA that we offer internally. So we have MASA that we offer through HR. And I don't know the exact number, but we have decent participation in MASA right now. This would be something that is secondary, but this is available to anybody in Reeves County. It doesn't matter whether you live here or not, the way that it was presented last year.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So if we were to do this, the city employees that are in the message, whatever it is, they don't have to pay for it, they can get this one.
Well, there's a difference. This one handles you in Reeves County.
Yes.
It handles you across the United States.
Yeah, if I could clarify, this one allows for any pickups from Reeves County, Davis County, the Pecos County, Ward County, all our surrounding counties. So if there's an emergency within those, it also offers for pickup. It's within the agreement. I think your MASA, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of a network type deal. Yeah, exactly.
So we're actually covering other counties as well?
No, we're not covering other counties, but if you're a Reeves County resident or if you're a transient worker within the Reeves County and you have something that occurs within one of those surrounding counties or ours, you have coverage.
And how do you determine residency?
By exactly what it is. If you live here, you have an address here, your ID or your driver's license shows that you're a resident here, you would qualify.
So your address is at the, Holiday Inn Express, and you've been there 5 years, is that residency?
Probably not, but if they're here that long, they're probably working here too, so I would think they'd still be covered.
It says transit workers here.
Yes, sir.
So that would cover the person living in the hotel.
Yep.
And this is, they have to pay anything? You got $45 here, the standard rate of $55.
That's kind of the average pay for those qualifications, but it's nothing to the individual. We absorb all those costs. Yes, sir.
So it would be free for everybody?
Yes, sir.
It would be free of charge?
Yes.
It's worth it.
Yeah. It's just another way that we can all work together and show the community we're doing our best to provide for them. There's no obligation, but any participation would definitely be appreciated.
I know when I was working for Eagle Claw, when we first started, they offered this to us. And the company would pay for us, any accident, anything they fly whoever, and wherever they needed to be, so it was a good thing.
Charles, did we work it in? Or?
I don't know. Is ESD1 paying anything up toward it, or is it strictly ESD2?
Currently, ESD2 has. I don't know that ESD2 has, they haven't directed us to go to ESD1 yet.
But they did direct you to go to the other taxing entities.
Yes, sir.
And there's actually 6 taxing entities that
Yeah.
participate, so,
So it would be wise to reach out to.
well, I don't know.
No, I'm just saying it would be.
Yeah.
I think it would be the,
Well,
they're an entity themselves.
and I mean, it's council's decision. For $22,000, can we find budget money?
But it could be divided by 5, possibly.
Well, it's going to be or 6 total.
No,
There's
you-
6 entities.
You could
Or
say we're,
The school participates
Right.
as well.
right.
Yeah, it could.
Uh,
And again, I don't know who
school
all
couldn't, right?
The board is struggling to reach out to, so I don't know that.
Yeah. I don't think that the ISD, if I recall when we looked into it, I don't think the ISD can contribute to this type of program, so,
The school would only be efforting money toward kids. Their scope, just like ESD1, their scope is 5.
So like you're saying, they could make a contribution.
They could.
And fire could too.
potentially, yes, ma'am.
What about if we go 1/6? What would that?
Or you are in charge. I have an opinion on it, it doesn't matter right now.
It cut it
I'd like to know
down.
your
I mean, if
opinion.
it was 6, it would be 15,000 a year.
It would, yeah.
What's your opinion, Charles?
We've asked the ESD board twice to help and participate in the Take a Sprout program, and they have no desire to do that. So we have 3 entities that are covering Take a Sprout and servicing the community. So I am biased. Chief Lee knows how I feel.
Yes, sir.
So I am biased.
Fully aware.
So I don't know that you want to know my opinion on it from that standpoint.
And like you said,
Because that's
You
not
said-
information either I was aware of or remembered.
you know, and like you said, we'd like to help each other out.
But we have to continue working together because we all live in this community. We're all residents of this community.
Agreed.
We all have one common group that we have to satisfy, and that's all of our
And
citizens.
to me, it's kind of hard to say, well, it's out of our scope. Well, it's out of everybody's scope.
It is. It
You know,
is,
so,
absolutely.
You know,
So
if
that's
that's
why-
what someone is saying, then I don't know that that's a real adequate statement if you're coming and asking another taxing entity to do it.
Well, and that's why I say, I mean, it's not cost prohibitive. It's a good deal. Okay, I'm not going to say it's not a good deal. It's a good program. It's just whether or not council decides that they want to appropriate some money to it. We have the funds. We have items where we could absorb that with no problem.
I think there should be more discussion.
Well, the one thing I see is, all the money's coming from the same people.
It is.
And so we're covering them all with their own money, and we're saving them a lot of money. That's like, I had a heart attack, and you're not like to say it, 38,000 to fly from my hand service. My wife, Pecos to it, that's the 48,000. So it is.
It's life-changing.
It's life-changing, and it's a very well worth thing to have.
Yes, but then at the same time, we need to remember that the town of Pecos City has the smallest pot
Yeah.
to draw from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus the other taxing entities.
And Chief Lee, if you get to get back to your board, what city manager stated, y'all need to help us. I'm not gonna say can you, I said y'all need to help us with the Keep Pecos Beautiful.
Absolutely. Will do, sir.
I'd like to see that.
Because I kind of like the program,
1/6.
but we all have to work together in
And,
everything that
everyone
we're
should
doing.
go.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Chief Lee and I have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with the ESD, with all of the board members too. We are not always going to see eye to eye.
Right.
And so I do not expect them to think everything I say is great, and I am not going to think everything they say is great.
And we can have those opinions, those harsh opinions, but yet it's civil for and help one another.
It is.
Yes, sir.
In the ultimate line of everything, it's for our taxpayers, the citizens of Pecos and each county.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it's a great program. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not something that is beneficial to our citizens, because as some of our citizens have talked about earlier, none of us, or very few people, have enough money to cover a $45,000 cost.
Yeah.
Only a select few. 99% of the rest of this in here, it's harmful that we have to absorb that. So it's a great program.
One more thing for clarification, if someone is just traveling through, are they covered as well?
I don't believe so. I think the qualifications are transient.
How is that determined?
We would have to verify that they have employment within Reeves County. Yeah. So,
I guess they would be responsible. They'd still get picked up, taken, but they'd be responsible for the deal.
yeah, any individual that utilizes this program, they do have to verify either the residency or that they work here in Reeves County.
I mean, technically, we're covering a lot of other people too that are not Reeves County residents.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe someone's just, they're not out here for work, they're just out here for pleasure, but they don't live here, we're still covering them if something happens here. So that's why I'm saying, are you covering someone that's just driving through and the accident happens in Reeves County? Or how is that determined?
They have to show proof of residency or employment.
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
And you know, that's gonna take time, because when you have an air flight, you're a little bit beyond trying to say, here's my wallet.
If your wallet's in.
Yeah, it is very much an after-the-fact process when this gets verified, so.
And as we refer to them as transient workers, they contribute to our economic growth. They may not pay taxes as far as property tax. Sales tax. But sales tax they do, and in large numbers.
Yeah. Well,
Make a motion, we pay up to 1/6 for the cost.
If you can get, yes,
I think they need to contribute to our programs as well.
yes,
I'm not gonna make a decision on that,
I would like to see it done. It's a well working together partnership. And it is growing, the partnership is growing. It's trying to help one another out more and more and more, and that shows other communities that it can be done. So we need to be the example.
I think once our boards get, you know, and this is just talk, it's not
Yes, sir.
official, but I think once our roads are paved out in front of our station, I suspect that our boards will be more receptive to jumping on board with the beautification. If you were to do this tonight, I think it puts them, you know, at least in a little bit of a position that, hey, maybe we need to.
Chiefly, I would like to see Jerry Willard out picking up trash, so.
Okay, we can do that.
So, you got to amend the motion, or how do you want to state it?
That we contribute up to 1/6 of the cost of, what it said, 89,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What would be the amount?
$14,833.33.
40,833?
Yes, sir.
And cents or people?
There's 33 cents.
Let's make it 35.
1/6 then, so.
All right. Okay. Have a motion by Councilman Graham. Do I have a second? I'll second. Okay. Motion by Councilman Graham and a motion by Councilman Trujillo to enter the Air Medicare agreement to participate in sharing the annual membership fee be 1/6 of the amount of $89,000. So it'll be $14,833.33. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same side. Motion passes.
Council, thank you very much.
We're going up to F2, discuss, consider, approve the amended and the reinstated certificate of formation for the Pecos Housing Finance Corporation and deems the articles as advisable and authorizes the board to deliver the articles to the Secretary of State consistent with the section 394 of the Texas Local Government Code in order to enter via evidence and approve the appointment of Kara Turner to the board of directors of Pecos Housing PHS. Mr. Johnson. You made it too long, man. You got a shirt back there a little bit.
For what it's worth, I didn't come up with that myself. And it does kind of track the statute, that's why it's like that.
Okay.
But, so the Pecos Housing Finance Corporation was created 2015, maybe, roughly there, about. They're now getting active and looking to get involved in really some development that's going to bring some funds to the housing authority and things they can do there. They have an attorney working with them now who's, I've been working with him. He's proposed that the certificate of formation be amended. You have the amended one there with you. Really, the only substantive changes are it adds a new director and it kind of broadens the public purpose of the entity. I don't know if you have any other additional questions, but this is just something they've asked that we get done as the governing body to allow them to really move forward with some projects that they're looking to get into.
Is this going to be housing for the housing authority, or is this going to be a different type of housing?
It'll definitely help our housing authority. We'll bring some funds to our housing authority. We need to be innovative in finding ways of subsidizing our housing authority, since we don't, since funds from the government deplete every year or less every year. So we need to just be innovative in finding ways of
So the answer is
helping out the housing authority, but it also will help our town out. There's
So
different
this is housing
opportunities.
for other people, not to make more housing units for the housing authority itself?
That's correct.
Okay.
So this isn't specifically for that. This is just the certificate of formation being amended. Now, there are future projects that they want to get into. That, yes, they are looking at getting into some developments. Because of the partnership, because of the local government code, chapter 394, kind of mutual benefit where the developers get the tax break, the Housing Finance Corporation gets some funds out of it. It's not a development being done.
And then those funds would be used how in the housing authority?
Well, we're in dire need of HVAC units, curb and gutter. There's a lot of locations that have broken curb and gutter, sidewalk, just the facade itself. The units were built back in '74, so I'd like to bring them back up to 21st century. And we also have the old farm labor apartments that we'd like to invest some money in there. Once all of that's taken care of, we can definitely look at other opportunities in our town.
Are all your units filled?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You have a waiting list?
Definitely. We have 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Usually we have a waiting list between 20 and 30, 35 people.
And how long are they on that list?
Just depending, people move out, but it could be from 6 months to a year. Depending if it's a 1-bedroom, 2 or 3, or if it's a handicap apartment as well.
So would you say there's a need for more just housing for the housing authority?
Yes, there's a need here in town. And we could partner with different entities, to look at that. Yes. But immediately we would just take care of our housing authority.
But this is just to add one member.
This is just to add a member, and it kind of broadens the public purpose of it, so it's for any public purpose, really. But it is still for the benefit of the people, really, the town of Pecos City at the end of the day, because the housing authority is within the town of Pecos City.
As our city attorney says, the Housing Finance Corporation has been dormant since 2015. Just trying to bring it back up, revive it, and hopefully we can ask you to consider and approve the amending and reinstating the articles of incorporation. And as far as adding another director, Karen Turn is awesome at the Housing Authority. She brings a wealth of knowledge, banking background, and she's willing to serve.
And I can say that the attorney that's been working with the Housing Finance Corporation, I've been in pretty good contact with them. there was a different version of this that I had sent to Sarah to circulate to council for the meeting today. After that, I spoke with him, made a few suggestions, things I wanted to rephrase or change, and we got done quickly, efficiently. I mean, he has been easy to work with, so I have no issue with what's being presented now, and beyond the scope of that, I've seen kind of what they look to do moving forward, and everything does, it is all above board.
Any other question?
I'll make a motion to approve item F2 as previously read.
I'll second. Does it want to read? You second it?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Seal, second by Councilman Saldana to approve F2 as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say the sign. Motion passes. On to F3, update on Pecos Heroes Housing Project progress. Charles Lino, City Manager.
Mayor and Council, I'm Charles Lino, City Manager. I don't have a whole lot for you on this one. It's an ongoing process right now. I know there's been some back and forth from the attorneys for the different entities, working with Bobby Maldonado to get it ironed out. I can tell you I haven't had a conversation with Bobby in about a week and a half. I will reach out and find out where we're at. I know that there were some proposals that were sent back, I think from the ESD as well as from the hospital, that were agreed upon by Bobby, but I haven't seen the final agreement, so I don't want to tell you it's done without seeing it in black and white. But I can give you an update next week at our meeting, and I will have much better information next week on this one. We do. Any other questions related to it?
Any other questions?
I'd like to see it going before the end of the year.
Yes, sir. I want to see it done now, but, yeah.
I'd love to see it.
I agree.
All right, anything else? We'll move on to F4, discuss, consider approving 3 water line easement agreements with the town of Pecos City for the new Water South project. Mr. Charles Lino, City Manager.
Mayor and Council, Charles Lino. In the agenda, you're going to see 3 items that are located, that are out there, Section 13, Block 5, Abstract 427, Houston and Great Northern Railway Company Survey. The second one is Section 16, Block 5, Abstract 3489, Houston and Great Northern Railway Company. And the third one is Section 24, Block 5, Abstract 1460, Houston and Great Northern Railway Company. I was reviewing with Parker because we don't have the easements attached. The easements are being drafted as we speak. This is a nuance that our granting agency and lending agency with the USDA has thrown on us. Parker and I haven't dealt with this before. We are granting easements to ourselves, and it's a requirement from the USDA. We tried to tell them, you know what, why do we need to grant ourselves an easement? And they told us because federal law tells us that we have to. And these are small tracks. Each one of these are all along the current area that we're going to run our water line along Tolliver Road, the new Tolliver Road extension. Parker said we could approach it, and I could read it out this way. You all could approve it tonight and follow up with the written easements, of which the format he's already approved. It's just that we don't have them available yet. The WTC, West Texas Consultants, who's doing all of the work for us, is in the process of drafting those. It's already ours. Yes, ma'am.
So the pipelines where it's going, we already own the land.
We already own the land on these pieces along Tolliver, but we have to give ourselves an easement to satisfy the conditions of the USDA.
Does this help us build 2
I was very confused when they said we need to give easements to ourselves. And it seems like there may be a conflict here between federal and state law, because state law, when dominant and subservient states are owned, or the easement and the surrounding land are owned by the same entity or person, it merges into one piece again. So, I mean, I see in the future, if we were to transfer it or sell it, yes, we would reserve that. But I mean, if it's to satisfy our federal overlords, then I'm all for it.
Well, actually, if we want to put that pipeline, a few years later, we want to put another pipeline, we have to pay ourselves or get permission for ourselves.
I think this is.
Probably we don't have to. This is strictly to accommodate the USDA loan and grant that we received. The loan is the $25 million one, the grant, the $15 to $16 million one. We want to close on that, and this is what's preventing us from closing and issuing construction documents.
For that amount of money, we might could approve this.
Yeah, maybe so. Yes, ma'am.
We can check the box off and it doesn't cost us anything.
Make a motion to approve item number F4 as presented.
Okay, any other questions? Because I have two people on my right and left that are pushing the issue with before we finish discussion. Okay, at this time I have a motion by Councilman Graham to approve F4 and a second by,
So the rest of us can hear you.
and a second by Councilman Trujillo.
We sense the urgency.
Yes, okay, fair, yes, we did. So, all those in favor of approving F4, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
Go on to F6. Discuss, consider ordinance 24-09-01, an ordinance modifying the master fee schedule, second reading. Senator Cavieres, City Manager.
Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council, in front of you in a hard copy, you'll see the ordinance for the master fee schedule. Of course, we did go over this in detail at the last meeting. To kind of summarize, this is increasing bulk water rates, increasing trash rates, modifying our roll-off rates, which will include our new 15-yard containers. It does increase various permit rates, cleaning up the verbiage for our easement rates, putting negotiable, and of course miscellaneous municipal court rates. At the last council meeting, we did discuss making some changes. The changes that were made between last council meeting's ordinance and this ordinance are gonna be in yellow, which was like adding the senior rate and then the easements rates. And then just a side note on our trash rates, since that will, since we are gonna be doing like $1.50 increase for residential rates, we do have a flyer that's gonna be going out. We're working on that to put in everybody's utility bill. So hopefully by the next billing, everybody will see the flyer of the rates. They'll be notified. And of course, after this, we gotta publish this in the paper, and it can't become effective until 10 days after it gets published, which is sometime in the beginning of November. But we are going to make this effective December, and then residents won't see rate increases until their January bills. So it'll get you through the holidays.
What is the senior age?
65 and over.
I really wouldn't publicize that.
All right, 65 and over. It can.
I'd like to ask Mr. Holt, since he brought up this question about the boat rates. If it goes up on you, it goes up on that company that you were
Yes,
in
ma'am.
reference
Yes,
to
ma'am, it
for
would.
the water tap as well.
Yes, ma'am, it would.
So the rate is the same for both of you, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So whatever you charge your customers versus what they may charge their customers,
You
you're
could
paying the
expect.
same.
Yes, ma'am, you could expect it. However, they are a much larger company than I am. The fact that they're able to bring the water over here to Midland and box me out is giving me a tough time. They probably can eat the margins pretty well. I can't. From my understanding, their competitive rates are about 16 cents a gallon, something along those lines. My rates are running about 17 cents a gallon. This would put me on the upwards of 18 to 19 cents a gallon. I'm competitive on those rates.
What kind of volume do you do?
We're doing 1 million gallons. We just did 1.2 mil last month. So.
Is there a way to change the rate to, let's say, a radius? Like I think we all support small local businesses, and we, I don't want to, I don't know, how can I word it?
To encourage and support local business.
Right, to support maybe, I don't know, if it's within a certain radius,
It's a little different.
it's a little
boat rate or
different.
something.
It's a little bit, you know, it's, we certainly appreciate that you provide the service to our residents and here. They are coming in from Midland, so maybe they're, I mean, if it's within a certain radius, theirs could be that increase, but here could be a little bit less. I don't know if that's legal, I don't know.
Charles, I thought we had a deal if they went over a certain volume in water, the rate would go up.
That's what this is proposing, Randy, that there's 3 tiers, that is tiered. We did increase the base rate, but it is tiered now to where there's 1 million gallons and below is one rate, over 1 million to 3 is another one, and over 3 million is another.
So how much are they're going to have to pay more than we did, possibly with this?
If they're going up to 3 million, sure. I'm not familiar, I don't know what exactly their rates are. My understanding is that they have a fixed amount they can get. The only concern I was having was you're wanting to reduce your rates, or reduce your usage, but you've given another company a tap, and at the same time say, oh, we're going to increase the price as well as give another tap. That was my concern. And on top of that, the city has its own tap on the corner of 3rd and 17, but you're still wanting to increase usage as well as increase prices as far as well.
No.
They don't.
Or decrease usage, but increase prices. And so, that was my only point.
On where? Where do?
3rd and 17.
3rd and 17 is a private company. It's not-
Yeah,
That's
that's
not the
not-
city tap. My understanding, that was the city tap.
No, that's another water.
I mean, it's a city
water-
tap, but it's
water-
not
No,
city.
that's not
I
the
thought,
same.
but I thought the city was.
No, that's not
No.
the same.
Oh, I apologize.
No, the name is Pecos something.
Okay, well, I apologize. I was confused. I apologize.
Yeah, I think we have right now 3 bulk water suppliers right now. that are on there.
Here's the other thing. Are you receiving treated water or is it raw water?
I'm creating.
Treated.
Huh?
Treated.
Treated, and that's where I find they would need to, I'm sorry to say it, but charge you a little bit more, because you're selling treated water. So, and we're having to pay to treat
Yeah,
it.
and I can say that I had a good conversation with Luke earlier today, and he's working on another option where they have water that may not be, that is byproduct, that they're looking at selling and maybe coming up with another revenue stream, which would be great from that standpoint. But I understand his concern. And when I shared with him earlier, I have a responsibility to the entire city, and I am concerned about the volume of water that is out there until we get our new well fields. I really am.
And then what I keep reading right now, water is gonna be the main issue in the next 10, 15 years.
Yes, sir.
And we need to, I mean, I know what you're saying is contradictory. Want to use less, but we're gonna up the price, but we're bringing somebody else in. And maybe it's now's the time to say,
No more.
No
no
more.
more, exactly, no more.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Councilman Trujillo. If they're coming in from outside, I want to see us take care of our local first. Just like everybody says, we buy in Pecos, but we don't have what Midland, Odessa have. Hopefully one day we get there, that's what we're working on. But this is water, and water is as much of a commodity, if not even more than oil and gas at the moment. And so, picking back to Councilman Trujillo, I think if they're gonna come from the outside, or we stop it and just keep it local because of the concern that our city manager has on what we have, then those people that come in from the outside, if they're gonna do business here, then they need to pay more.
Put a surcharge on it.
The one,
Put a surcharge on what they use.
yeah,
Or don't allow it.
or don't allow it at all, because if we're gonna have that concern until we build that water field.
Are they meeting the need that you are not working on, those other companies?
Say that one more time.
I think they're going to, taking a lot of this stuff to man camps.
Yes, sir.
And so are you going to be able to do that?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir, I can do that. They're pushing me out of 2 customers right now. They turned me into TCEQ and then pushed me out of 2 customers right now. And so,
So what was the TCEQ issue, if you don't mind me
So
asking?
apparently there was a rule change in 2017, Mr. Ivy was not aware of it, where in order to sell potable water, you need to be a public water system, licensed under TCEQ. Mr. Ivy was not when he was selling water, but he was pulling water from the city into an old milk tank, which was sanitized, certified and everything. And then he would sanitize his tanks quarterly, I believe, and then sell it to man camps and gas plants. And I think a couple of times he's done it to the city of Toyah. He's hauled water out there when they had their issues. But in 21, TCEQ came down and shut down Mr. Ivy because he did not have a public water system. And so he was shut down for, I want to say, about seven or 8 months, unable to sell water until he was able to get the public water system approved. And we are approved, and we are approved purchaser from the town of Pecos City, and we're approved TCEQ public water system service supply. And so that was the thing that shut me down back in 21. Because of that, we had to increase our prices then. That was our choice. But in May of 23, we did get a 10% increase from the town of Pecos City, and we accepted that. But now I'm getting hit with another one. And the fluctuating price is going to be very hard to sell to a customer. I don't real seldomly see if you get a flat rate. 1 month or 1 day you'll get this price, $5. The next day you'll get $7. I'd have to just increase my base in general to cover for all of it if I do go over, and I do expect to go over. In 23, 9 of the 12 months I did go over 1 million gallons. This year has been a little hard, but I plan to increase sales and increase my revenue stream. But I do understand the problem for water. I do. There's a possibility, and I talked to Mr. Leno about this, on the construction companies. Y'all are sending the water, selling the water through the fire hydrants to construction companies. Well, the RO water that I'm producing, I put my water through an RO system, and the reject water I'm collecting, I can sell it to them at a cheaper rate than what the city is purchasing, so that it gives them incentive to come to me, and that would use less demand for y'all. So that was something I offered to Mr. Leno, and I would obviously that have to go before y'all to get approved or anything of that nature. But that's just a solution to offer to y'all.
I'm just curious, the company he's in reference to from Midland, are they getting treated or untreated water?
All of them are getting treated water. We're not giving anybody untreated water.
And I'm not sure if their accounts, if they've been pulling water yet or not.
Well, just in my conversation with Luke, I think they have. I need to find out for sure.
Yeah, we need to look.
Are you all raising the rates for the citizens too, or what?
So for the part that's going to affect the citizens is going to be the trash rates. So for example, inside city limits trash rates, right now it's $23.50 a month. We're going to raise it to $1.50. So you'll see $1.50 increase on your January bill.
I mean, we're already having problems picking up the trash, and you're gonna raise the trash fee?
Yes, we are in the middle of, I don't know if you saw the first item that was on here. We're running out of space at our current landfill. So now we have a brand new landfill that we're having to construct.
Will we be ever getting the metal containers back again?
Yeah, because those little containers you all switch us, it's not holding it. And then they need to increase the pickup days at least 3 times a week or something. If you're gonna increase the rates. And then the water rates are the highest in the state. When they were switching the meters, the guys that were switching the meters couldn't believe how much we're paying for water here.
Study, right? That we're not
We did a
high.
water rate study, and we're
not
just below average regionally. And that was a water study across the entire state.
Mm-hmm. I would like for us to.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Study what you suggested, go forward with that.
I mean, when we had the town hall meeting about the swimming pool that the county wants to build, the city's furnishing the water, we got that much water, how come they don't lower the rates? mean, Pecos water is high
We're not the highest in the state.
compared to Kermit, Monahans, Odessa and all that. I'm paying more water here than I used to pay in Dallas when I used to live there.
Yeah, I don't know what, how we.
Yeah, I don't know how to, this number, he said it was a 10% from what it was before, that treated bulk water up to, you fall in that first tier, right?
I go between both of them. So
You're
I would,
between the
I would
first-
fulfill the first tier and then go into the second tier.
And what we currently have is we are currently charging the 1850.
Well.
18?
Yes,
And one of the
1850.
things that may or may not be clear on the tiers is if you, let's just say that you had pulled $1.2 million. The first $1 million is at the first rate, the next 200,000 is at the incremental rate. It's not, if you go to $1.2 million, you're at that full rate. So it is a graduated rate, and it was intended to slow down the use of city water or make it to where the city is being compensated for the volumes. And that's what the intent was. If that is unclear, maybe there needs to be some clarification, but that's the intent. So if you go above 3 million gallons, the max you're going to, let's say you did right at 3 million gallons, you're going to pay you're going to pay the first million at the lower tier, the next 2 million at the next tier, and then you're done. So if you go to 5 million gallons, you're going to have 1 million at the first rate, 2 million at the second rate, and 2 million at the third rate.
On the converted man camp, their rate stays the same. Do any of them use anywhere near that amount of water? It's on page 2.
That's a different thing. That's a different one from the bulk water kinetic.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's a volumetric. The converted man camps were charging $18.50. They're not using bulk water though. It's going to be the volumetric that you see below the 10,000 to 24,000 to 25,000 that goes above. We need to do that better, or maybe move that up.
Yeah, we'll move that up.
Yeah. And the converted man camps are the kids' camps. That's what those relate to.
Should we pondering something?
Do we go ahead and pass this, and then they come back with a, solution?
That would be my recommendation, because our master fee schedule, you all have the authority to change it at any time. So we can have it, and if it needs to be modified again at a later date, you all have that option. It just has to be requested, we can take care of it. We did this through a course of study and over a period of time. That's where we came up with these numbers. And there are certain areas that we felt we had a responsibility to our citizens to make sure that we're protecting the borders.
But I'd like to see something, I guess, it doesn't relate to this necessarily, or it could, what Vanetta said or what Valerie said, something about outside people coming in and using water.
Parker and I are going to research that. We were just discussing while everything was ongoing.
Okay.
We had to make sure that there's nothing in that becomes an antitrust or a preferable treatment standpoint that gets us in more trouble than we want to deal with.
But we definitely encourage local businesses, and we want to make sure that they know that we are supportive and we appreciate you, and your concerns are valid. And thank you for coming in today and talking to us about it and bringing it to our attention, because that's, we'll definitely take it into consideration.
And just to make a statement, these rates that we're looking at increasing the trash, everything, okay? I got a mother and stepmother that are on fixed income. Someone's half families that are going to be affected as well. So, it's not just y'all. We've got families.
Yeah, but when's it gonna stop? I mean, instead of bringing it down, you're going up. Do that to the oil field. Go after the oil field where they got the money.
They take their dump. Well, we've had our conversations.
And it is a fixed rate, so it won't be like the water where it varies depending on the usage. It's a
There's another
flat
thing on the water bill.
increase.
Yes, sir, you did.
Not all the water
You
goes
had-
to
you
the
had
sewer
your time.
line.
You had your time. Yes, sir, you did.
I didn't have 3 minutes.
No, only 3 minutes period. So, you want to make a motion? So, we'll come back and say, I guess we have a motion from Councilman Graham with the exception of coming back and looking at the master fee for the bulk water sale. I understand. And I have a second by Councilman Seals.
Okay.
There's a motion by Councilman Graham, second by Councilman Seals to approve ordinance 24-09-01, ordinance modifying the master fee schedule. Second reading is presented by Heather Cadiz. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion
Like
passes.
Charles said, you can come back and change this, when something comes up, it's not fixing.
With the exception of bulk water.
We'll move on to F7, discuss and consider ordinance 24-09-02, and ordinance amending chapter 6, alcoholic beverages, section 6.2, license to manufacture, sell, distribute, etc. of the city code of ordinances. Second reading, Sarah.
Okay, Mayor and Council, in your packets, you have a copy of the ordinance we presented at our September 26th meeting. And it's just basically stating in years past, the way we would charge for alcohol permits is what TABC charged a license holder, we would charge half that rate for them to have an alcohol license here in the city. But TABC went ahead and created a master fee schedule, and they've maxed out the rates. So this would just be amending the ordinance to reflect that we would just be following what TABC has instituted for us to follow.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 24-09-02, second reading.
I have a motion by Councilman Seals to approve ordinance 24-09-02. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilman Saldana. Motion to approve ordinance 24-09-02 is read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same side.
I'm abstaining.
Sir?
I'm abstaining.
Abstaining? Reason?
Reason? Yes, you do.
You got to state the reason.
We find that out at TMM, you have to state your reason.
You what?
You can take me to jail.
What's the reason?
I'm not stating.
You're abstaining?
No, I'm abstaining, but I'll just take that.
All right.
I believe it's required.
It's required.
It's required.
Y'all can see me.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't know off the top of my head.
You learned this week, I understand.
TMM.
Mr. Grant, Councilman Grant, need to state?
Well, my father was an alcoholic.
That's what you have to say personal.
Doesn't say for personal.
Personal.
This is what y'all wanted to hear.
No, sir, just say
No,
personal.
no.
Not the whole, just the personal reasons.
Happy?
No, sir.
It's the law.
I don't care what the law is. Let them come after
Well,
me.
you can just
Mr.
say
Graham.
personal, just like that. You don't have to say anything.
And I don't have to say anything at all.
We have to follow
Yes.
the rules. Okay, but you don't have to.
Will arrest me. Lisa, come up and arrest me.
All right. We have a motion. It's passed.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to F8. Discuss and consider ordinance 24-09-03. An ordinance amending chapter 48, peddlers, solicitors, and interior bidders of the city code of ordinance. Second reading, Ms. Fuentes.
Mayor and Council, Cindy Fuentes, Director of Permits. And this is just the second reading to remove the fees from the body of the ordinance to be referenced on the master fee schedule.
This is just removing the,
We're just moving it off of the ordinance, and we're going to put them in with the master fee schedule. It'll be in the master fee schedule. It's the second reading.
we'll make the motion to reapprove ordinance 24-09-03.
I got a motion by Councilman Saldana to approve ordinance F8. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilman Trujillo. All in favor of approving ordinance F8, 24-09-03, ordinance amending chapter 48, peddlers, solicitors, sanitarian vendors of the city code of ordinances. I can read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion passes. F9, discuss, consider ordinance 24-09-04, an ordinance amending chapter 10, animals, section 10-220, permit to keep livestock of the city code of ordinance for second reading. Ms. Fuentes?
Mayor and Council, Cindy Fuentes, Director of Permits. Again, this is a second reading to remove the fee from the body of the ordinance to be referenced on the master fee schedule.
So livestock, define.
Remember the horses we talked about at the last meeting? It's just to remove that fee and put it into the master fee schedule.
All right.
We'll make the motion, we approve 24-09-04.
I have a motion by Councilman Saldaña to approve F9. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Second by Councilman Graham. All those in favor of approving F9, ordinance to approve, to amend chapter 10 of animals, section 10-120, permit to keep livestock of the city of Mexico.
Cindy,
Yes.
it just says livestock, but it pertains only to horses.
It's the horses, it's animals in general, the goats and chickens.
There is, that's about it. So it's just, it's not disallowing, it's just.
No, it's just to remove it from the ordinance and put it in the master fee schedule.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. F10, discuss, consider ordinance 24-09-07, an ordinance amending Appendix A, Article 3, Section 19, specific use permits of the City Code of Ordinances. Ms. Fuentes?
Council and Mayors, Cindy Fuentes, Director of Permits. Again, this is to remove the second reading to remove the fee off of our ordinance and to put it back into the master fee schedule.
Second reading.
I have a motion by Councilman Seals to approve ordinance 24-09-07 and an amendment, amending Appendix A. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
I do. Yes, I can, sir.
Yes.
I'm not the mayor. Okay, F10, discuss and consider ordinance 24-09-07, oh no, 24-09-08. An ordinance amending ordinance 17-05-01, placing fees of commercial recreation apparatus in city parks. Am I on the right one?
You're on the right one.
Yours.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Holly Jockey, Community Services Director, second reading of ordinance to remove fees associated with apparatuses at the park.
It's because we don't allow.
Because we
have
don't
water
provide,
out there anymore.
yes ma'am, we do not provide the electrical or the water at our parks.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Councilman Graham.
I'll say.
Second by Councilman Seals to approve F11, discuss and consider ordinance 24-09-08, and ordinance amending chapter of ordinance 17-05-01, placing fees of commercial recreation apparatus in city parks. Second reading, Dr. Siraki, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
F13, discuss, consider approving a donation to Meals on Wheels in support of the Reeves County Home Delivery Meals Program. Ms. Ramirez.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, in your packets, you'll see a letter from the Meals on Wheels program from Ms. Hilda Mendoza requesting a donation to help support the Meals on Wheels program here in Reeves County. This is something council has done the last few years, and we've assisted in the amount of $8,000 the last few years. That's what we've,
That's what we've done in previous years.
yes. There's not an amount on the letter, but if that's something y'all be willing to do again for this year.
I've been doing this for a while with my company.
Help them deliver the meals.
And so, something that's either like to give them a little bit more, just $8,000.
Have we done this previously? This is the first time.
No, we've,
The Texas Constitution generally prohibits charitable donations of public funds. They can be done if it's for a public purpose, so if y'all find that this is a public purpose, and the city retains some modicum of control over how the funds are spent, then it's permissible.
How do we do that?
Just through a statement.
You have to say it
that
through a
it's
statement.
For a public purpose, you believe it's constitutes.
I mean, no, how do we ensure how they're using the funds? That part of it.
Well, I don't think we have to audit ourselves. I think we have to make a statement and say that we believe that Meals on Wheels is for public purpose and we expect them to use the funds to
Accordingly.
provide the meals. And I think that would accommodate that.
To provide meals for the,
That gets us there.
I'm sorry.
That gets us there.
Okay.
I'd like to say we can move it up to 15,000. It's doable. I hear a pin drop. No, you said that we're normally giving 8,000.
We've been doing 8,000. If we used to give 5,000 and then we increased to 8,000.
So you're asking for us for an amount?
She doesn't ask for an amount.
She just said what we can give.
Thankful for whatever we give her.
Yes, whatever we can do to help.
And she did talk to me last week, because we delivered twice last week. It takes some minutes ago, and I see the need, and we do it every year, so, and I think we need to do it more often. I've been talking to the supervisor. There is that big need.
Yeah.
That would be my 2 cents of raising to 15,000. Everybody else's opinion. Motion.
A really good shot.
Yeah.
You can make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we can amount to 15,000.
I'll second.
A motion by myself to, I guess that's a better word, up the ante. What was previously given, the 15,000 for a Meals on Wheels program, seconded by Councilman Appeal.
And you're gonna make that statement.
And for the specific use purpose of
Public
providing, public use of providing meals to residents of Pecos. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And now we want to F15, discuss, consider entering into a Chapter 380 tax abatement agreement. Mr. Leonard.
We got to go up one, Councilman. F14 first.
Sorry about that, sir. Trying to get out of here.
I know.
Sorry, I interrupted him. I forgot that he's
Okay, F14, discuss and consider resolution 24-9-05R, resolution amending resolution 14-01-02I, program for development incentives pursuant to chapter 380 of the local government code. Mr. Lehman.
Mayor Pro Tem Council, Charles Lino, City Manager. I brought this back per your all's request. I did add a couple of items in there as we discussed. I feel I was, last time, that I probably didn't do a great job of explaining last time. So I want to kind of give a little bit of insight before we move forward on this, and we can talk about it. I did change it around so that the 3-year or the 10 years not on the front page, that the 10 years on the back page, so that it doesn't look like that, and throw it right up front. There were some questions that the council had last time related to how do we ensure the project gets done. And we asked for financial statements. If we're going to do that, we need to ask for everybody's. The reason that I was, whenever we were talking, opposed, and I didn't make myself clear, is because the city as a whole does not have any exposure for abatement unless the project is completed and gets on the tax rolls. That's the only time that we abate it, because the entities who get a tax abatement have to pay the taxes to the county tax assessor, show us a paid bill, and we reimburse them. The abatement agreement that we have stipulates a dollar amount that they're going to spend. If they do not spend that dollar amount and it doesn't go on the property tax rolls that way, then there's no obligation to honor that. It can be voidable or voided. I think a tax abatement policy is a good way to bring businesses in. I have in there on the copies you have in red, the addition of the financial statements. And if council so wants it, no problem. But I think it has to be done for everybody that way on any of the future ones. I handed, there should have been one that I handed out. I'm sorry. I handed out I apologize, I'm talking two different places there. And I did that intentionally because I felt last time when I went home, and I've had conversations with a couple of y'all, but I did have conversations with Terry and with my wife because I needed to see what she understood from it. And I didn't do a good job of making it clear. So I wanted to make it clear tonight before we even have any conversation about it. So that's the reason why I don't, the city's not going to have any exposure unless the property's built. But it is council's option to have any of this on this policy. So I'm going to listen to what you all have to say and be quiet now.
Well, I'd like to understand, because I was in the meeting then, why requesting financial records when we haven't done anything about it? What is the purpose of?
Well, we haven't done too many 380s for one.
Yeah, we only have one outstanding. We have done some grants.
But I mean, legally, can we ask? I mean, we're not financing the project, we're just doing a tax abatement.
We want to make sure that they follow through.
But if they don't, they don't get anything.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. If it doesn't go on the tax rolls, there's no liability.
But when does it start? When you start construction?
No, when it's complete, when the construction is complete.
Tax rolls when they start construction.
Yeah, it will be on there. They do not start their abatement piece until the project is completed per the 380 agreement. It's a contractual agreement that they enter into, each individual one, and it has a stipulated estimated dollar amount, and it's going to be discretionary with whether council, so let's say that they say this project's going to be $4 million. If it comes in at $3.8 million, then the council could say, well, you didn't spend enough. I would recommend against that because that's still putting tax money or potential tax money on the bank, on the books in the long term. The council also talked about doing graduated scales and reduced terms. Max I recommended to you all is 10 years, but we have a 3-year term. So when we look at it from that aspect, it could be 3 years 100%, 3 years, second year be a third of that, a third less, or it could be 100% for all 3 years. Abatements they're gonna probably become more and more prevalent as we start getting some of this new business that's coming into town. So I'm probably gonna be coming back to you more than I like with abatements and giving you a little bit of reasoning why I think they're good for the community. We don't want to give everything away, but most of these people are not going to come put in a brick and mortar building and run after their abatement is gone because they've thrown away a lot of assets. So.
Yeah, and I don't like the idea of the financials, asking financial, because if we ask for individuals and companies, and they're already, I mean, you know, Pecos is already considered a hard place to come and put a business from the people that I talked out there. And we haven't done it that I've heard. We've never done it, but I've never been involved in an abatement.
No, we haven't done any.
Yeah.
There's only been one.
Yeah, and it was done before I got here. We did do another one, but it was done as a grant, and that was for the Bell's department store that we entered into. So we did one that was a 50-50 split with the EDC on that for the apartment.
As you alluded to, we're going to have more businesses coming. So we need to set up a program like I think Councilman Seals had said, a meeting prior, that we need to set up so we don't have to be going through this constantly. Every single one of them.
I want to add about the financials, Conrad, it's no big deal. You know, it's not a hurdle for them. You know, and it's before they get into a deal and tie something up, I want to make sure they got the backing to go through with that project. I don't want them wasting 2 or 3 years and then they can't get the financing and they can't get it done.
Can't get it finished.
Can't get it finished. And so that's, you know, I'd rather have somebody that can get it done, has the financial backing to get it done, so we can get it on the tax rolls for sure.
They don't have it, I mean, in the agreement, there's not a time period that they have to get the project completed?
There is in the agreement, and in a lot of these agreements that we're going to be talking about for any of these new companies, that some of us are aware, some of us may not be aware of some of the opportunities that are coming into town. those companies are going to ask for abatement agreements. The hook right now in the agreements is that most of the land that's being sold to these new companies is owned by the EDC. And the EDC has a specific timeline in there to where if it doesn't, it reverts back to the EDC for this property to be sold again. If it does revert back to the EDC, this agreement, any 380 agreement never existed. It just goes away. So we have some, and I agree with Councilman Graham, how do we know somebody's going to build something? We don't. We don't. But we don't have any exposure unless it's completed. Could that be 3 years down the road that we find that out? Absolutely. There's no way to, even if we look at financial statements, and I think Councilman Graham knows that just like me, I personally love to see the financial condition of somebody to know that they're going to do it. But I look at it differently than most everybody else, as does Councilman Graham, because we are accountants. So we look at it and we say, okay, show me a balance sheet, because they can show us a P&L. I want to see a balance sheet always, and so will Randy. It may not make sense to most everybody unless you're used to doing that, but a balance sheet tells a story. But you have to be an accountant to understand it sometimes.
But is that in the scope of the city council to have to request those financials of a certain business?
It is not.
That's-
Well, it can be. If the council so desires it, absolutely. And that's where this policy comes into play. Like I said, I didn't ask you all to change the ordinance that we have into place because it complies 100% with state law. We're only talking about the policy. And a policy is something we do internally. So this is stipulations that we're adding as a council that city staff is going to be required to follow. And whenever we're putting it out there, when somebody comes to talk to any staff here about the abatement, we're going to share this policy with them so they understand right up front what they're looking at.
You know, hypothetically, let's say Walmart, hey, we're gonna build a super center. All of them, and they got the financial stuff, I have to take a little offense to it, because I'm a big corporation. I want to build what I'm saying I'm gonna build. And then there is a timeline that if they don't accomplish that or start moving dirt, then the deal's off. The city has lost nothing, the EDC has lost
I
nothing.
just wanted to see, especially the smaller operations, if they're legit or not. You're going to get a lot of people
The
that
particular
come in
customer
here.
here, he's legit.
Well, you're going to
He's
get a lot of
lawyer.
people that come in that won't be able to, finish a project.
Then
You'll
I-
get a lot of that.
Yeah. But this particular person, he's a lawyer.
But then that actually goes back on whoever financed them.
Right, but it's not our,
It's not our
it's not our
responsibility.
responsibility to see what they're,
Well, let me
They
say
don't
this
finish
about
the
this,
project.
that The lawyer lied about, he had a credit line of credit, and he did not.
How do you know that?
How's it? Okay. And he won't show us his financials.
He is willing to show the financials, Randy. It's one of the reasons why we had the item on executive session. I told him that I had conversations with him last week, and we talked about the policy. He asked if he could come back on the 24th. So our next item is I'm going to ask to be postponed and push it to next week's meeting. But he did say that his accountant got him the information. He's willing to show the financial statements, but if we do it, I want to do it in executive session, so it's not public record.
And even if they do show us this, that it still doesn't guarantee they're going to complete the project.
Yeah, no, none of it does. Yeah, absolutely.
And
But I want to apply it across the board. If we do it for one, we got to do it for everybody, just to keep us from being exposed.
And I don't know how you'd make a Walmart really do that.
And that's what scares me, is if we start asking financials for everybody. We do it for one, we're gonna do it for everybody. If we do it for everybody, then we're gonna scare some of these businesses away. And right now, we're in a zone of people wanting to come to Pecos and build. And there's a lot of stuff out there that's hearsay, but if it starts coming where they actually start building, I mean, I hate to see, even if it's a mom and pop deal, and if it's local, the same thing, that's one of the things we want to promote, Pecos. But if we start putting, roadblocks on everything that we do, with permits, with this, finances and all, what else are we gonna ask? Pretty soon, we're not gonna have nothing. We don't have nothing to begin with. We're trying to make this town a better town.
And I think we're making a lot of progress. We are. We have a ways to go, but we are making progress, and we are starting to attract some businesses that didn't consider us a while back, and we have to make sure we welcome them.
Be diligent on our rules and regulations, but too many stipulations, add-ons and add-ons and add-ons. It's gonna be a turnoff for anybody wanting to come to Pecos.
So what do we do about this line that's been added in there?
That's what council has to tell me what they want to do on this. I mean, this is the policy that I put together. I tried to modify it to the extent that I could to accommodate everything that we did. Kind of, as I said last time, we can add anything to a policy. We can add, subtract, but then it can get voluminous if we're not careful. The one caveat and the one thing that I want you all, should be a point of focus, I guess, is the last sentence in there, that this policy can be modified or amended as needed with the direction of city council. So it gives you all 100% control to say, you know what, this thing's not working, we want to modify it at any point in time.
Well, for me, I like to, what you put in red, I like to remove the omission from it.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
I agree.
It's not a roadblock, I can promise you that. If somebody's serious, and I deal with these clients all the time, they have the financials.
But they can't get the abatement until after the project's completed. So we're
Right.
not really giving them, we're giving them the incentive of the abatement, but I feel like if they're already putting money towards the project, they've already invested in the land, they've entered the contract with the EDC, and us on top of that requesting, oh, but wait, we need to see your financial, I feel like that's an overreach. But then also I'm not a CPA. I'm just, hey, you know what, I'm like, the EDC has vetted them, they've done their due diligence, and I think we should just.
And their financial
Yeah.
background has done the same thing.
You're coming from a professional and personal CPA business. We're governed by different things, and we have to be open and
Right, I just don't see this as a roadblock, you know?
I don't see that it's promoting it either. That it's helping the situation. I mean, personally, I don't want everybody to see my financials either.
No.
It's not gonna be out for publication.
Yeah, but the more people that see it, the more that know,
Yeah.
you know, and you know what my financial situation isn't 5 more people's business that I don't know.
Yep.
I like the policy. I just don't like the red.
I'll make a motion to approve item number F14, take this out, the red line in the agreement.
I'll second.
Yeah, we have a motion by Councilman Seals, second by Councilman Saldana to approve F14 Resolution 24-9-05R, with the exception of removing the statement that reads, the city will review the financial records of requesting individuals, organizations, in all instances. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Have one. Councilman Graham voting no. Motion passes. We'll move on to F14, discuss, consider entering into a Chapter 380 tax abating agreement with HP Construction. Julie.
Mayor Pro Tem, I ask that we postpone this until next week's meeting.
Bring that one until the 24th. Table that, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we table item F15.
I have a motion by Councilman Castillo to table F15 for the next meeting on 24th. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Saldana. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. We'll go on to executive session. Under Texas Government Code 551-071, 51-072, 51-04, and 51-087, involving attorney, personal matters discussed with municipal court, associate and alternate judge, real estate negotiation, economic development, chapter 380 agreement, and is 0724. It was the younger ones that was in here, no, it wasn't done.
No, it's the older couple. They're
It's
ones
the
that-
top line, is that
Oh,
what
the
we're
older couple.
supposed
that
to
was-
do?
yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 not the two young ones.
No, not the younger ones,
Yeah.
they'll be.
Okay, we ready? It's time, it's 8:01, back from executive session.
Sorry.
Anything come out of executive session?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right, we'll go on to item I, discuss items for next city council agenda. We're bringing back, F 15.
15 and I
I think that's the only one we're bringing back.
I thought we had another one on the.
We do have 12 also.
Not next week, though.
This is not next week,
No,
that's
sir.
right, after we have it
After we
here.
have a town hall.
Yeah,
So only F-15.
only F 15.
Oh, you're gonna bring back F3 at some point?
Yes, F3 and F-15.
So really the only one we're bringing out next week is
F3 and F-15.
F 3 and F 15. So I can think of what I'm gonna tell you, I'll send it to you in an email.
Perfect.
What about the bulk water sales?
For which one?
About the water bill. Well, we approved it, we're just gonna,
I gotta talk to Lou. Once I gotta talk to Lou.
I talked to him today, and he said he told me, he said he hopes that it didn't feel like he was against competition. Conversation I had with him this morning, he told me, like, I guess I'm gonna have to raise rates. I said, if I'm running a business, I'm gonna raise rates at my cost for it.
yeah.
But all of our costs, I mean, even with some of our citizens in there, well, why doesn't the city give us back? Everybody's costs have gone up, including the cities. I mean, we don't pay the same thing anymore for anything that we do.
Yeah, I know, too.
What we paid
Yeah.
many years ago in Dallas,
It's
yeah,
called-
it's gonna
it's
be
called
different now.
inflation,
It is, absolutely.
And we've gotta
And-
cover our costs too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We're obligated, and I think every citizen's obligated to get it.
And that's why I said, our decisions affect family members, our family, own family.
It
that are
does,
affected.
absolutely.
So,
Yes, sir.
But we talked about having, what would be special different rules for somebody coming from the outside.
Well, and Parker and I are gonna have to research that to see if there's any restrictions. He and I both believe there are, but we wanna research before we tell you for sure.
Y'all need to
Sounds
bring
good.
a pot, maybe.
He can get it
Good
fast
one.
for sure.
Good one.
He'll find something.
Yeah, he likes to put corns.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
Meeting adjourned.
Very good. What time?
Time is, thank you, ma'am, 8:04 PM.
Lori, I have a question for you.
Art, I have a question for you.
Where's your turquoise?
No, Art's not here anymore.
I told you already, I'm never wearing that necklace again.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Lori, I have a question for you. Where's your turquoise? There's a lot of stuff in the mirror. We got that on the lights.